Your lecturer may ask you to write a piece of reflective writing after completing a section of work. This video aims to assist you in writing reflectively. What should you write about? What style of writing should be used? First of all, we will discuss what is meant by reflective writing and why it is a useful activity. If you look at a couple of dictionary definitions, to reflect means to give something careful thought or consideration. It means the consideration of some subject matter, idea, or purpose, or reflection can be seen as comments or writings that express someone's ideas about it. But dictionary definitions do not explain the full process or purpose of reflection in an academic setting. Reflection means to take a moment in time where you stop and look back at what you have learned and experienced. But the crucial aspect of reflection, the purpose of reflection, is to use that reflection in order to come up with a plan to move forward in terms of your own theoretical and practical knowledge in your field of study. This may lead to an aha moment. The process may cause you to look at the subject matter you are studying differently, or to come up with solutions to problems that exist in the application of this theory to practice. In order to write an academic reflection, it means that first you have to have read your course content and reflectively thought about it. This involves critical thinking abilities. Gibbs's well-known cycle of reflection is a useful tool to guide you to start this process. Start by describing the readings, module, experience that you've been asked to reflect on. Then describe how you experienced that, your feelings around the event. This leads to a judgment or evaluation, which in turn leads to an analysis of how and why in terms of the success or failure of the experience. That should lead to being able to make some statements to sum up what you have learned from the experience and propose a way forward in terms of knowledge and practice. I'll discuss these steps in a little bit more detail now. If we were to map Gibbs' cycle of evaluation on the image of reflection that I used earlier, it might look something like this. The looking back part of reflection will be a description of what we have studied and experienced and our feelings surrounding this. In the present moment, we evaluate and analyze the process. In terms of looking forward, we need to come to some conclusions and to come up with a plan for the future. This chart illustrates how much space should be allocated to each part of the reflective process. You will notice that in terms of description, very little time should be given to describing what you've read or experienced. Perhaps this is only a couple of sentences. The greater part or bulk of your reflective writing will be on the sections describing your feelings, evaluating and analyzing your experience of the readings or the module or the learning experience. A smaller but nice chunk of your writing will be spent on your conclusion and action plan. So how do you go about writing each of these sections? Be guided by the assignment instructions and rubric. Your lecturer may have given specific questions to prompt your reflective process. As I've already mentioned, your description should be brief. Only give as much detail as you need to give context to what you're going to say. Do not try to summarize everything, just highlight a few important points. If you're discussing your readings or modules, use academic language. Introduce the researcher using a present tense verb and refer to the author's names and year of publication as can be seen in the examples. The most important characteristics of X, according to Inquania 2017, are Y. Remember that there is no right or wrong answer. The lecturer is interested in how you experienced the section of work or the module, what you found to be interesting or challenging. Look at the examples in the blue box to guide how to write these sentences. I found, I felt, I noticed, and so on. Now you will combine your thoughts and experience with what you have read or learnt about. Try to apply the knowledge, the theories, the models of the subject matter to your experience or observations in the field of practice. Again, it's not so important to be right or wrong, but to show that you're trying to apply discipline-specific knowledge to practice. Look at the example given. When considering my experience in my organization, I noticed that they applied the principle of X very well. Or, I've noticed that Y is lacking in this department. This could be due to the fact that X is not being addressed as emphasized by researcher Z. The conclusion and action plan is the most important part of your reflection. It gives the so what of the exercise. What have you learned from the reflection? How can you use this to either advance your academic understanding of your discipline or to give insight into the practice of the discipline, or maybe both? Once again, use a combination of academic and personal language. Look at the examples given. Overall, this reading or unit made me think about X. I need to do Y. I hope to achieve Z. This work made me aware of perhaps a gap in your knowledge that you need to fill. I realized that I need to describe some action in order to deepen my understanding of specify an area. The readings module highlighted that in terms of the practice of your field, something needs to be addressed in order to solve possibly a problem in the practice of your field or study. Although this is more informal writing than an academic essay, and although you will use the first person pronoun, it is still necessary to make sure that you use well-constructed full sentences. You also need to organize your sentences into paragraphs, remembering the golden rule about writing an academic paragraph. An academic paragraph should only have one main point, which is discussed in detail in the rest of the paragraph. I hope you are excited and feel more prepared to complete your reflective writing task. Remember that you want to take a present moment to reflect on your experience of both your studies and the practice of your field in order to make plans to improve both your knowledge and your ability to apply that knowledge in practice.